of Loving Cup at the 200 mark. Burst is about to run into third place, and she's finishing on gamely. So is Ken Fair. Clan O'Sullivan is shortening stride. Loving Cup, and Burst down the outside is rocketing to the line. Burst has swapped Clan O'Sullivan. 4 straight for Shane Dye.
Hello and a very good morning to Turf Talk. And I think Clary Connors, he had a little bit of blood flowing through the cheeks that day when Burst won the Golden Slipper, and a man who's called lots of Golden Slippers is going to give me a hand this morning. John Tapp in Sydney. How are you, John?
Good, Simon. How are you doing?
I couldn't be much better, to be honest. It's been a pretty big week. We've Brisbane Carnival's continued, but those jockey tapes have reared their ugly head again.
Simon, early on Friday evening, it appeared following the disqualification of Gavin Eads that things might quieten right down. But we learned this morning that fresh evidence has been given by the Crime Commission to the Australian Jockey Club Committee. That happened late on Friday night. So I would say come Tuesday or Wednesday of this week, there could be more to capture the headlines. And then after that, of course, Mr. Ian Temby, QC, will commence his review of racing control here in New South Wales. But I've got a feeling, Simon, that it's all going to come to a fairly swift and clean end after all that.
Yeah, I just hope you're right, John, because it's not doing any of our industry any good. But talking of jockeys and talking them in the right fashion, I suppose Mick Dittman, it was really one right out of the bag yesterday in the Queensland Derby on Tarradoo.
Well, it was a desperation job, wasn't it? Mick had to get off the rail if he wanted to win the Derby. He took the risk. He flattened 2 horses in so doing and incurred a 6-meeting suspension. Now, Tarradoo is the horse on the rail midfield in the very bright pale green colours as they turn for home in the Derby, where Maxim is joined by Circles of Gold. Now, watch Dittman pull the left rein. He pushes Loza out onto Carla Chief, which checks badly, and for a moment it looked as though it might fall Carla Chief. Tarradoo now gets up inside Circles of Gold. Stay tuned, and his Brave Warrior down the outside in the pink, but the long-striding Tarradoo, having his 12th start of this preparation, races away to win the Derby over Brave Warrior, and Starmaker rattled home to get third. Simon, we've uncovered some enormously tough 3-year-olds this season, none more than this horse. This was his 12th run yesterday, this time in.
Yeah, certainly he has been a tough horse. Mick just keeps amazing me. I mean, he could only get a bicycle through that hole. He whacked a tank through it. He's fearless, Mick, and that's why obviously he's one of the great jockeys. Unfortunately, you know, he probably deserved his 6-meeting suspension for what he did yesterday, but the great thing about Mick Dittman, you always know you've got a chance when he's on your horse's back.
Yes, he's one of the most aggressive big-time jockeys we've ever seen, but I'm sure that even Mick realises he can't keep on knocking horses over to win races by the same token.
He certainly can't. Now, the Stradbroke yesterday was a ripper race as well, John, and it was a great finish, and that old grey kept poking his head out.
Well, there was a huge roar when Scalacci poked his head in front in the straight, shooting for his 9th Group 1 success. Just Awesome is in front as they come around the turn over the ghostly grey Scalacci. Sublimate on the inside. Here's the favourite Chief De Beers in the yellow with the orange cap looming up after having had a very hard run. Ruslan's got a yellow jacket, black cap. He's about 5th at the moment, and he now comes to the outside. And on the right side of screen, yellow with the red cap, is the favourite Carptingly. Scalacci's in front. The crowd went wild here. Ruslan gobbles him up, and here's Carptingly. Look at Cohort in Ingham's colours rattling home when it's all over, but Ruslan got home over Scalacci and Carptingly. Gary Palmer, the jockey, Simon, a year ago had shocking injuries after a race fall. It's a fairy tale comeback.
Yeah, it's good to see guys like that have been through the bad times come back and experience some good times. Carptingly, I couldn't really find an excuse. Oliver seemed to ride him pretty well, and he just couldn't quite finish it off the way Ruslan did. And the old Scalacci, he's just an absolute champ. It's great to see him keep going around. Now, the Eagle Farm Stakes are the last lead-up to the Brisbane Cup, which is run tomorrow, and that was a pretty good race as well.
This horse, Simon, Czar Oak, is a huge animal. We'll try and pinpoint his size. He's widest of all on the turn into the straight in the quartered cap. You'll get an idea of his size by the big loping stride that he's got. He is a towering giant, and that's the reason he's only had 11 starts even as a 5-year-old. He's won 4 of them. Look at him sprint for a big horse. Down the outside he comes. That's Gossip in the dark blue cap poking through in the centre, running a very sterling Brisbane Cup trial, and coming home from well back, Double Glaze gets up for third. But look at the size of this horse. Larry Cassidy on board, and Czar Oak races away to beat Gossips, trained by Leon Corstens, and he's got 50.5 kilos in the Brisbane Cup tomorrow, Gossips.
His win here last week down in Melbourne was a good one, and that's another good run as well. So he just might give them a bit of fright in that Brisbane Cup tomorrow. And actually, the horse we gave a bit of a kick in the belly to the other week, Waikika Cow, talking about kicking the belly, no pun intended, John. I think it might run a fair race in that Brisbane Cup tomorrow, but who cares what I say. Now, the June Stakes yesterday in Sydney, mate, this is a bit of a fairy tale talking of them.
I value your opinion, Simon, you know that.
Thank you, John.
Right, mate, round the turn they come. In the June Stakes, a listed race, first run in 1910. Our Lances well clear coming over the rise from Nevada Lodge. L.A. Yannick in third place. You can see the field is well spread out and there aren't too many hopes back in the field. Our Lance is starting to shorten stride. Nevada Lodge goes after him quickly. Now watch for Dancing Dynamite in the grey with the white cap. He's running home well. And on the extreme outside in a moment, you'll see a white cap. That belongs to Simulcast, who is still a maiden. You wouldn't believe it. But Nevada Lodge got home over Our Lance, Dancing Dynamite third. Simon, the winner, is an amazing story. They bought his mother for $150. They paid a $300 service fee to a horse called Decision Maker. The foal was Nevada Lodge, and he's won nearly $260,000.
Well, that is a fairy tale. It's one we're going to finish on. But before we do finish, I'm sorry, John, the Triple Crown, the third leg run last night, Thunder Gulch won the Belmont Stakes. And let's not forget the Derby in England last night. Alem Tara, Walter Swinburne, I think, was the jockey. Overnight, they're the two results that are very, very important, obviously, to racing. And, mate, I look forward to seeing you next Sunday.
Simon, I'll be here, my boy, and I'll see you then, and good punting during the week, and I hope things are good down at that Kilmore property where the horses are.
Let's hope so, and I'll keep a good eye on them. Thanks, John. Okay. Well, up next on Sunday Scoreboard, all the action from last night's French Open Women's Final.